All right, everybody, welcome. In today's episode, we actually have Dr. Kate Davis with us here, and really excited to have her on. We've been working with Kate since October. We're now in March, and she's just crushed it. She's been an ideal client, and like the moment that she started working with us, like I knew it was going to happen. I was like, I can't wait to see the growth you have over the next 6 months. So she's been a great student, and also just really great at what she does. And welcome. Thank you for being here. And
Thank
I'd
you.
love to turn it over to you and just like tell the followers, tell the audience here, like what it is that you do.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kate Davis. I do functional medicine, specifically treating chronic gut issues. So people who have, constipation, IBS, bloating, all that stuff. So we talk a lot about poop. So if you go to my page on Instagram, you'll see a ton of posts on that. So I always have to tell my patients right away. I'm like, yeah, we're going to talk about poop a lot. It's okay then. So. But yeah, I deal a lot with GI issues. I see all sorts of types of people too. Like I've seen autoimmune, people with neurological issues. That was actually my specialty as a chiropractor. So I do see some of those occasionally. But yeah, I just help people heal naturally through detoxing, diet, lifestyle changes, just all the natural ways to get people to heal properly. And, the biggest thing I see with people is just nobody's ever checked them for chronic infections, for toxins. So, I see so many people who have parasites, mold infections, fungal infections. They might have toxins like heavy metals, pesticide residue, radiation. I've seen that in some military people I've worked with. And it's really just about removing those stressors and allowing your body to do what it's designed to do, which is to heal. And I know it's very much a chiropractic philosophy that we learned in school about, if you give the body the right stimulus, it'll heal itself. And I saw that as a chiropractor. I've seen it as a functional med doctor. It's pretty amazing how complex, but also how easy it is to fix the body once you know what's going on and you kind of just remove those stressors. But yeah, so that's what I do for people. And I get awesome results. I was a living example of that because I had a massive parasite infection that was undetected for, probably over a decade. But I got started because I actually found a 3 foot long parasite that I'd
Holy
passed
cow.
when I was detoxing. Yeah, it was massive, like 3 feet long. I had hundreds of them coming out. I was having, a lot of health issues at the time, and that kind of got me on this journey of doing functional medicine. And it was just like a combination of a lot of life events going on that kind of led me down this road. But that's what I get to do for people. I love it when people send me pictures of parasites. They're like, my gut feels so good. Look at this thing that came out.
And when she's saying come out, like, and she's talking about poop, like, yes, these parasites come out of the hole you expect them to come out of.
Oh yeah, and they're dead. They're not like wriggling in the toilet. They're not going to
Yeah.
swim, near you. They're dead when they come out. So it's not like they're just swimming around in the toilet bowl. But yeah, so that's what I do for people. I help them heal naturally through detoxing and lifestyle changes, diet changes, and it's just been really amazing. And do you mind if I just like backtrack a little bit to tell you kind of how
Yeah,
I got
please. Yeah,
started?
tell us more about
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing chiropractic for about 5.5 years before I met Dr. Matt. And I'm so glad I did. But I was on this journey of trying to get out of chiropractic. A month after I opened my chiropractic practice, I got in a really bad head-on collision, ruptured a disc in my low back, had really bad shoulder issues. So I was basically trying to adjust people with all of these issues. It was such a struggle, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I dropped down to 50% capacity because my body just couldn't handle adjusting people anymore. And I was just doing that for 2 years, and I was like trying to build my functional medicine business, trying to get it going. I was getting good results, but I didn't know how to reach people and make
Mm.
it into a really successful, thriving business like what you teach, Dr. Matt. And it was just a struggle. I joined another mastermind, spent $10,000 on it, made zero money. I had, tried all sorts of little other things. And then I just started, one day I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try Instagram. And I started posting stuff. And then all of a sudden your ad came up and I was like, this guy looks friendly. Kind of looks like a little like human lab. So I just like clicked on your profile and I just kept following you for like a few weeks. And this was like last summer. So it was like last June of 2023. And I was just like, oh, okay, this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. And I started trying some of the stuff that you were talking about, and I saw results, and I was like, oh, this stuff actually works. Okay. And then one day I remember seeing a picture of this girl that not only I went to chiropractic school with, but we were in the same class. And I was like, wait, I know Emily, like I know her. And so I texted her, I was like, hey, what do you think about this guy, Matt Shiver? Like, did you like his program? So I'm like getting the lowdown on you from her, and she's like, oh my God, girl, you have to do his program. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, if Emily can do it, I can definitely do it. So and so yeah, it was just all these little things that just kind of lined up, and I was so ready to get out of chiropractic. I was like desperate. I was spending all free time I had, making content on Instagram, trying to reach people, trying to get patients from it. I just didn't know how to do it. And then I came across your page, and by this point, I was just like broke. My business cards were maxed out, trying to find all these other ways to make money and to get out of chiropractic to like at least replace my income so I could leave. I was like in so much debt from the car accident because I was spending so
Mm.
much money treating on treatments that, for those of you who don't know, if you're in a PI case, you don't get reimbursed until the case closes. So if you're still getting treated, you don't see any money for maybe 2, 3 years after. So I'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on treatment, trying to keep myself together to adjust people at a job that I couldn't do anymore. So it's like this circle, this cycle of just not good stuff happening. So I was like kind of desperate. I was like, I need something that actually works. And then, you had advertised like, hey, I'm gonna, do a 1 week free trial of my program. And I was just like, oh, okay, let me see if I can get the most out of that 1 week. And I was honest, like on the,
Yes.
the coaching call, I was like, look, I'm not gonna buy this program, but so you should probably save this for someone else. And he's like, why are you trying to discount yourself from from this being able to try this program? I was like, because I'm not going to buy it. I have no money. Like, I'm broke. Like, this isn't going to work out. And I was just so impressed with that first week that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so I just was like, all right, we're doing it. Like, I got no money, but I don't really have another choice. I was like, I don't do something. Like if I don't do something in 6 months, I'm gonna have to apply for bankruptcy anyways. I might as well do it early, going out strong. And so yeah, I was in a bad spot. It was really bad, and literally within like 2 months of working with you, because I think I started your program like in November 1st or something. I had a month where I made twice as much as I did as a chiropractor in my functional medicine business. And I was just like, what? How does this work? This is insane. And it was so cool because I've always hated social media. Like, I don't have a personal account, I just have a business account. And because I've always thought it was a time suck and I like being in person with people. But not only did I make money and I was helping people, because I knew that I could help people, it was just finding the people I could help was the hard part. Like, I knew that what I was doing worked because I'd done it on so many of my chiropractic patients and they got phenomenal results, but I just didn't know how to let other people know I could help them and like bring them to me. And it was just so amazing because not only was I making money and I was in a point where I could close my chiropractic practice, but I was also getting so many DMs all the time from new followers who are like, thank you so much. I feel like God brought me to your page. You're the answer to my prayers. I love what you're doing. Keep it up.
Mm.
We need more doctors like you. And it's just all this like this good feedback that made me start actually loving social media and the good side of social media because I just never really seen that before. And it's just really about like the impact that you can give people and just letting them know like, hey, I've been through what you're going through. I'm still going through what you guys are going through because I'm dealing with a really bad black mold issue and I'm in the process of moving out. And I was basically sleeping against a whole wall full of black mold for the last probably year. And somehow didn't get sick from it because I'd already treated myself a couple years ago. And so I think I was just in a good spot to where it didn't affect me. But I've been through what people are experiencing. So when they go to my page and they see that, they're like, oh my God, she had bloating, she had constipation, she had all these things that I'm experiencing. It gives them just an ability to trust me and know that I can help them. And it also gives them hope. Like, some people are just so burned by the medical system that they just don't have hope anymore. They're like, okay, I guess this is my life now and I'm just stuck this way. And it's not. And so like what I get to do is like, even if someone doesn't work with me, I'm still going to be like, hey, there is an answer. There is a way to fix this. You just got to figure out what it is. Like, don't let any doctor tell you you're stuck with this. It's complete garbage. I've seen so many people, heal from X, Y, and Z, whatever they're on the phone call with me for. And it's just so cool just to see the impact you can have on people. And you're reaching people who you could never reach just doing an in-person physical business. And so, after that month in December, business kept going. I took a little break around the holidays, but then it just skyrocketed. And literally, I made the decision in January. I was like, okay, I'm going to close my practice at the end of February, and had like the best month after I closed my practice and went full time into functional med. I've had like my best month ever. It's amazing. And it's just so cool because not only am I helping people on a deeper level, but I'm helping people in other states. I got a couple people in other countries, people who don't
That's
have
cool.
anyone in their area. Like a lot of people in the South are like, there's no good doctors out here, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're kind of in rural Mississippi or Indiana or Illinois, you name it. And I know that's like more Midwest, but yeah, the South and Midwest, there's so many rural areas, they don't really have access to good doctors. And so that's the beauty of what you teach, Dr. Matt, is like you're getting our voice to people who wouldn't normally be able to meet us or know that, there's help and there's healing and there's hope out there. Because I was jaded for, about a decade before I was able to find the parasite infection. My friend helped me out. She was a functional med doc. And it just drastically changed my life because I just thought, oh, I guess I'm never going to be able to eat gluten and dairy ever again. And now I can drink milk, eat pizza, like no issues at all because we found the root cause and actually healed it. And so I even get people who just want to work with me because they're like, I just want to eat pizza again, or I just want to drink beer, or I just want to, have a slice of bread. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's heal your gut lining because that's really what it is. And so it's just been so amazing just having that impact, but also that freedom to just be like, okay, I can literally work from wherever I want now. Like, this is so amazing. Like, I was just telling you before we started the call, I was just at, the park. I'm in San Diego, so it's always sunny out. So I was just at the park for 3 hours, just, doing work, and phone calls, like just in the sun. Like, I have an inflatable lounger I lay in, and I'm just like typing on
That's
my
awesome.
computer, my phone. And so I get to be at the beach while people are at work. I get to be at the park while people are at work. I can literally work from anywhere. I can go visit my family on the East Coast and just work from home. And it's just so cool just seeing all the freedom and all the opportunities that just open up once you're able to actually, find a solution for your business. And like I literally went from almost on the verge of, 6 more months like I'd been going, I would have probably had to apply for bankruptcy, to now making more money than I've ever made in my entire life. And like because of the mold situation, I had to move. And for those of y'all who don't know, California is one of the most expensive states to live in. So I had like a secure, like family owned, like 2-bedroom apartment that the rent never went up. So I was comfortable. And then I was like looking at new apartments. I was like, oh my God, it's insane right now. But I was like, but it doesn't matter because I can afford it. And so now I can live in this amazing, safe neighborhood. And, I have all these, there's like security and, there's pools, hot tubs, and it's just like a nice area. And I don't have to worry about money anymore, which is amazing because I was just
Mm.
struggling for, 2.5 years before I met you, Dr. Matt. And I still haven't been paid back from the car accident. It's like it's still ongoing for those of y'all who've ever dealt with those cases before. It drags on. And so yeah, it's like those kind of things can really bankrupt people. And, just finding a hope and a solution was just the biggest thing for me. Like I would have paid you 10 times what I did if I'd known, how well it was going to work. Like, yeah, take it all.
And we're
So
still working too.
yeah, and I'm still
Yeah.
growing, I'm still learning, but now I have all this freedom and all
Yeah.
this time and all this money to put towards learning more things and going to these expensive like mastermind groups and things like that to actually learn how to be a better doctor so I can help people more because I have the time, I have the money, I have the freedom to just do that. And so it's like it's not all about, just making money, it's about the impact that you can have for people. Like now I have the time to do a podcast if I want because I've had so many people tell me you need to do a podcast, you're so good at teaching. And so now I have the time to do it. And it's like how many more people am I going to reach, with a podcast because podcasting is so huge now. How many more people am I going to give hope to who have just been so burned by the medical system who think they're stuck the way they are because I now have time and freedom and money to do it. And it's just so amazing like what you built, Dr. Matt. It's phenomenal. And for those of y'all listening, he has such a good program. Like he's literally there. Like there's like 6 calls a week you can jump on, ask any question you want. It's amazing. Like you can be like, hey, I'm working on this ad and I'm doing this and this. What do you think? And they'll like tweak it and make it better. And it's just so cool. And it's so simple. Like it's so stupidly simple that I was like, man, like if I had just known this like a year ago, my business would have exploded. And I just love how you layer your business where it's like, hey, because you don't have to have a lot of money to build it. It's like, hey, if you're at a place
Mhm.
where you're making like 1,000 a month, start with the free things. And then once you're at this level, then you can start doing, like this really cheap ad, which works phenomenally. If that follower
Yeah.
funneling teach us, I pay $10 a day. And it literally like I've probably seen 10 times the like 10 to 20 times the investment I put into
For
it
sure.
already. It's just phenomenal. And then like, once you start making more money, it's like you're buying your freedom back with all of these ads and hiring people. I was able to hire someone to take over the small stuff that I don't want to do anymore so I can focus on the big picture. it's just, yeah, it's just really cool. And I'm just really excited for the future. So yeah, so that's how I got.
Wow. That was awesome. That was like a good 15 minutes of just like flow. I did not tell her to say any of that. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get my
Um,
podcast going,
yeah, no, I think you'd be great at it. And yeah, I remember when you shot us the message over, you're like, hey, I shut down my like in-person stuff. I'm all in online. And like I posted that to our Slack channel with our team, and all of us got super excited. Like we have our daily calls and we got to celebrate that together. And
Yeah.
it feels really fun to see the results like real time and celebrate with our team. So yeah, that was a really, really awesome experience. And you've done an incredible job of just following it to a T, which is like, you know, anybody can start a coaching business. Anybody can follow the steps. We'll make it really like simple and plain, but it's actually doing it and showing up and being consistent. And you've done an incredible job of doing that. So I want you to like, you know, give yourself a huge pat on the back too.
Thank you. I will.
I'd love to hear like for you, like what was the biggest like shift that happened for you to start getting in front of new people? Because I remember when I came to your account and you're like, hey, I've been messaging people and they follow me, and like you're starting to generate leads and calls. But once you came in the program, we kind of give you some more structure. Tell me more about like what was the thing that really like allowed you to grow and help more people?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was a lot of the mindset stuff you guys talk in the coaching calls, like listening to other people ask questions and you're like giving them mindset advice of like, hey, look, like you're not bothering people. You're trying to help them. Like if you come from a genuine place, and that's honestly why I wanted to do your program, Dr. Matt, because I could tell how genuine you are. Like I've always been a good reader of people. Like I can tell if someone's, full of it and they're just trying to make money, or if they really genuinely want to help people. And I really just got that sense from you and like everyone on your team. They're just so genuine and they're like, yeah, message us anytime. And I really love how it's almost like you guys are there like holding our hands through each step, where it's like we have to send, so we basically have to send them homework of like, hey, here's like how my ad to look. And then I remember I spent like 4 days messaging back and forth between Mallory, my coach, about the follower ad that I had. She's like, okay, I want you to tweak this, add this, make this font bigger, move this over here. And it's just so nice to have someone who can be like, hey, let's tweak it to make it look better. And then once you launch it, it's so much better than it would have been if you were to just do it on your own. Because you could have just been like, yeah, here's how to do it, and then
No,
not have a team like there to really like
yeah.
edit it for us. So I think it's really all the editing and all of the advice you guys have given us about, every time I message you or Mallory, you guys would get back to me within 24 hours and be like, okay, yeah, that's good, but add this in, or ask this instead, or do this. And it was just those little fine-tuning tweaks, because I'd already had a lot of stuff like built in. I just didn't really know how to find the people to sell it to. And that was like the biggest thing for me. And then even the program I built, you guys were like, oh, okay, well, you should add this in and think about doing this, think about that. And it's just so cool because you guys are there the whole time. It's not just, like, hey, buy this video series of how I created my business and then good luck and peace out. Cause that's kind of how the other program was that I bought. It was like $10,000. It's like all these videos, there were like pretty much no coaching calls. And it was just kind of like, good luck, do it on your own. And most people don't really do well with that. You have to have someone who's there every step of the way to really help you. And I know you guys like looked at my account, you're like, oh, maybe we should change this font and make it look
Remember
like
that?
this.
Yeah.
That definitely helped. I got way more engagement. It's just like those little things. And I know I had already been messaging people, but you asked me to add like a question at the end, and that made the world of difference, where I got probably like 40% of people responding to my DMs, which is really cool, versus like 20%. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
really,
huge.
yeah, it's really all the little things you guys do. Like you're there the whole time. There's so many calls you can jump on. You have masterminds now, which are super helpful. So I think it was really just like you guys being there every step of the way that really made the difference.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed from, I mean, I built that and we did that specifically because same boat. I've spent $20,000 on some masterminds and some coaching programs, and I didn't get that, like, that element of support that I needed. And I almost refer to ourselves as like almost more consulting than
Mhm.
like, coaching slash course creating. Cause that's just what we like to do. If we see something, we're going to call it out, and not, I think coaching is like, well, how do you feel about this? And
Yeah.
that's kind of like more coaching, but consulting, we come in and we see, hey, this font looks a little iffy. Let's see if we can't make this font look like this, and there are the small tweaks just like that that make a big difference. Because especially when you start getting into ads, which is what you were talking about, the follower funnel, is that, that's your first impression with somebody, right? So like if someone comes to your account, they see an ad from you, that's the first thing they get from you. So how can we dial that in so that really speaks to your brand and your personality and your offer, and it kind of welcomes them into your world. So yeah, we've actually, even since you've gone through it, we've now added that first part done for people because of that, because we don't want people launching something that doesn't represent their brand. Because if that does happen, then it doesn't matter how good your content is in the future, that you're probably not even going to get the follow, or you're not going to get the lead, because they're like, who's this? Is this real? Is this a spam? Is it, is it scammy? Like, what is this? So it's really important to have that. So I'm glad you enjoyed that support.
Yeah, that was like the best part of your program. It was amazing. Like anytime I had a question, I could just be like, "Hey, can you help here?"
I
Yeah.
love it. I'd love to hear more. How is your offer structured? So, like, doing what you do online now, kind of paint that picture, because we've worked with plenty of chiros and PTs and some of the more traditional medical professionals. And when they're considering going into the online space, they're like, how do I structure my offer? How do I actually help people? So walk people through how you have it structured.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of just, I've gotten to the point where I can kind of discern, like in the DMs, who is actually ready and is like, hey, I just need your help, like whatever it takes, like, or versus someone who's just kind of like on the fence and they don't really know what I do and they don't really want to commit to something. So something you guys taught was like a 15-minute connection call. I don't advertise that on my page. I know a lot of people do just because I don't want to be on a bunch of calls with people who just want, because it's free and it's like, I want people who are really like, hey, I want to heal, I want to get better, I want to work on this. And so I will offer that to people in the DMs. Like if I'm talking to someone and they're just like, I'm asking them like, hey, has anyone ever tested you for infections or toxins? And they're like, no, what is that? What would that look like? And then I'll give them a little blurb and they're like, oh, that's so cool. How do I do that? And then I'll be like, hey, let's jump on a quick call. I'd love to go over that with you. And I'll send them the link and then we'll jump on a connection call. And then from there, I have really good conversion rates because I think my gift is teaching. And so, like from the connection call to initial consult, I probably convert maybe 70%, 80% some months.
Wow.
Just because, well, we've already built rapport in the DMs, they've watched my content. And then during the phone call, it's all about just listening. Like you really just have to listen to respond and not just or listen to hear and not to respond, basically. And just really, like things that you teach, like little things of just like, as someone is talking, just like really affirming like what they're saying, like, oh wow, okay. Like just little things like that so they know you're listening.
Hmm.
And it's really all about just making people feel heard because that's the biggest thing in medicine is like so many people are so jaded because they go to the doctor's office, they tell the doctor all their symptoms and they feel like the doctor's not even listening, they don't care, they send them out of the room and they're like, here, take this prescription med, and they don't really get answers. And so I think a lot of it has to do with how you treat people too. I think that's a big thing is like you have to go into every call being like, okay, how can I help this person? Not how can they help me? How can they bring me money or bring me business? But
Hmm.
I know that's been a really big thing for me. And, just as a Christian, like I always pray before every call. I'm like, God, if this is someone I
Hmm.
can help, then, I know it's going to work out. And if not, like, please help them find someone else who can really get them on the right track to health. Because I know that I'm not the be all end all for people's health issues. And I'm honest with people when they come to me with things that I know I don't have a lot of experience in, I'll send them to another doctor. And I think people appreciate that because they're like, oh, she's not really after my money. She genuinely just wants to, get me help and get me feeling better. So that's part of it. And then once the connection call goes well, and I'm like, hey, here's the testing I use, but let's jump on an initial consult first. So I go from connection call to an initial consult. We do an hour Zoom call, and I charge, about $100 for that because I want to make it, affordable for people just to, know who I am, know what I'm about, see my program. And I just go through, I educate them as we're going through this really extensive, health history forum together. And I'll tell them about, how toxins get out of your body and what organ dysfunction can create certain symptoms. Like, hey, you might be experiencing fatigue because of this issue or this. And I think people really appreciate that because they learn so much. So even if they don't move forward with me, because maybe it's financial or other reasons, they're just like, oh, but I learned so much and I feel like I actually know like how my body functions now. So it's easier for them to actually get answers in medicine, which is really cool. And then at the end of the call, I just show them my labs. So I'm like, hey, here's the labs I use. This is what they show. This is what I think might be going on with you based on your form. But we need the testing to kind of confirm that and come up with a plan. And then I'll sell them into my labs. And then once they buy the lab, I'll ship it out to them. I get the report back from the company, and we do another hour-long Zoom call where I just go over the results. Like, hey, here's the organs that are messed up. Here's the infections in your body. Here's the toxins. Here's the nutrient deficiencies that could be affecting your energy or your gut issues or your fatigue or migraines, whatever the case may be. And I'm just like putting a picture together for them of like, hey, this is what's wrong with your body, and here's how to fix it. And that's when I sell them on my program. And I do 6 months. I work 6 months with people because that's the best amount of time I've found for people to really heal and have strategies to actually keep them well long term. So usually like first 4 to 5 months is detoxing, and I have a whole video, course built out to go along with each month, and it's in a very specific order, teaching advanced detox strategies, diet stuff, lifestyle stuff, de-stressing exercises, all sorts of different stuff. So it's pretty extensive, and it goes along with the detoxing. And usually by the end of the program, people are just like, "Oh my god, I feel amazing!" And they have all these things they can use the rest of their life to stay well. And so that's my process. Is not everyone I'll offer a connection call to, because I can usually tell like some people just want someone to just listen, and just like I don't know if you ever get this, but they just like
Oh,
send you
for
like
sure.
a whole novel on Instagram. We're like, what current symptoms are you experiencing? And then it's like, like a whole novel, chapter 1 of 17. So those people, I'm just like, I'll listen and I'll give them advice. I'll tell them to watch certain videos. But when people like message me and they're like, how do I fix this? I need help, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, okay, well, let's book an initial consult. It's the first place to start. And I'll send them that link. So most people now, because I have the ad running and people have seen all my videos and like they have trust built, and I feel like I've done a good job of educating people on different stuff to where they're like, okay, this girl knows what she's talking about. And they've seen the testimonials from my patients. Usually they'll just book an initial consult. So it's like initial consult, labs,
Awesome.
right into my program. And yeah, I do really well with that. So it's a good flow for me. I know some people do like free initial consults. I never wanted to do that because that's a lot of time you're giving away for free for people. So I want to make sure people are like invested in their health. And I'm like, it's $100. Like if you can't invest $100 into your health, there's nothing that any doctor can do for you. So that's kind of my mindset around that. But I will offer like the free 15-minute call. So yeah,
Nice.
that's my flow.
Yeah, I like your model because the model that we teach typically when people are getting started is the two call model where you have a connection call, then into a longer 60-minute sales call, and then they sell their program.
Yeah.
With you being like more functional medicine and having a doctorate degree, right? I really like how you positioned it to where you still do sometimes do the connection call if needed, but you do a paid consultation call. So instead, you don't have to worry about people not showing up. I mean, they can not show up, but they're going to reschedule because they paid you $100.
Yeah.
After that call, they then buy labs from you,
Hmm.
and then you review their labs. So you have a longer sales process, but
Yeah.
each step of the way, you're essentially getting compensated for even a small part of it, right? To meet with the person and then sell them on the back end 6 month program. So I wanted you to highlight that because it is a little unique, especially with the
Yeah.
clients that we work with. But I absolutely love it, and it works really well because people do have to spend money before they can even hear about your program,
Yeah.
which really qualifies them even better.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it's really just building that trust too. Because by the time I sell them on my program, we've already spent 2 hours together, which is a long time to like really get to know someone and like build trust and build that faith. And I've even had sales calls with people where I go over their test results, and I'm like, I don't think this person's gonna buy my program. And at the end of the call, they're just like, yeah, we can just do it on one credit card. And I'm like, okay, so it's like never the people you think it is. It's so funny. And that's what someone had taught me a long time ago. It's like they're like, just don't have any emotional investment in any calls because it's like, yeah, we want to help them. I'm like, but I just know the answer. I know I can help you. It's like you just want to shake them. But
Yeah.
some people, it's just, like you don't really know like what they're going through. Maybe their life's busy. Maybe they have financial struggles. And I've had people tell me that where they're like, hey, I would love to do your program. I'm just not in the financial state to do it now, but I'll reach out to you when I am. And so those people, it's like I know that I've built the trust. I know they trust me. I know they know I can help them, but maybe they're just not in the right state, and that's okay. And so I'll just reach out to them, like every 3 to 4 months, just to be like, hey, how are things going? Hope you're doing well. And eventually they'll come back around. Because I had one sale where I just reached out to someone who just never got back to me because it was around Christmas time. And she's like, oh yeah, I still need to pay for that. And she's like,
Let's
you
do
said
it. I
I
like,
just like just reaching out to someone. I just made money. Just like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, here's the link, and it got her started. So that was cool. Because people just forget too. especially if they're not, having some serious health issues and they're just like wanting to do a detox because they just want to stay healthy or, have good longevity for the rest of their life, then they'll forget. And so you just have to be like, hey, remember when we talked like 3 months ago?
Well, that's good because I think a lot of people, we do the same. But I think a lot of people see a sales call as this is the only opportunity that I have. So I'm going to put pressure on this call. I'm going to have a incentive that goes away in 24 hours and all these sales tactics that feel really pushy and authentic
Yeah.
do not help you because sure, maybe it'll increase your closing rate on that one call, but a portion of those people will probably ask for refunds or will charge back. But you also burn the lead for the future when they are in a place where they need support. So it sounds like you have you're very authentic too, and I can feel that when you're talking, and I could see why people would be like, I want to work with her
Yeah.
when the time is right, right? Which is what we
Yeah.
all want.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really cool. I think just having the right heart behind what you're doing, you're going to be successful if you have the right system. So I think that's a big, big thing for people. But it's hard, like when you're starting out and you're desperate, like I was, and I was like, I'm making like $1,000 a month, like I need money. Like I had to remind myself, like, okay, this is about other people, not about myself, you know. And once you do that, it just the systems work. If you do it, it works. It's so crazy. And then you don't have to be a great speaker. Like I just happen to be good at teaching. That's like one of my gifts.
Mhm.
But I know some people who aren't great at speaking and they still have wonderful businesses and they make a ton of money. And it's not about like making things that are popular, trendy, like what you were telling us. It's like just be authentic, like be yourself. If you're goofy, be goofy. Like I make goofy comments all the time in my stories because that's just who I am. I'm not gonna, be this like really stiff doctor with a white coat on.
Yeah.
Like, let me educate you on this. It's like it's very real. Like I'll be at the beach walking and I'm like, oh, let me just do a story real fast, or I'll be at the park, or I posted like my friend and I in our hazmat suits today because we were like throwing away the rest of the stuff in the moldy
Well,
room. And we had like full mask, goggles, like the whole like suit on. And I just took a picture of us being like, yeah, ready to go clean.
yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
People want people like you kind of mentioned it earlier on in here too, and to wrap that in too is like that people want to relate to you and you're very relatable, and that's a big part of marketing is how can I uh, appear the same, you're the same level, right? It's not really a hierarchical status, but it's like how can I relate to this person, and your story of having the issues with your gut and all the autoimmune, right? Was it autoimmune issues or no?
No,
More
it's just
just
like,
gut.
we're gonna talk about poop on this podcast. So yeah, I hadn't pooped in like 2 weeks. Like it was bad. Like severe
But there's a lot of people that
constipation,
have that same
energy,
problem.
energy issues. Like I did have a little bit of autoimmune probably going on because I had random swelling in my joints. So yeah, you're probably on point with that one. But yeah, it was just like severe constipation. Like I'll tell people that I'd be like, yeah, I couldn't poop for like 2 weeks, and I was on Miralax for 11 of those days, and they're like, what? Like I'm like, yeah, it was parasite, and they missed it because the medical system is not the best at preventative medicine. So, which is okay. They're great at
Yeah.
trauma. Like anytime I need surgery or if I get in an accident, I'm going to the hospital. I'm not going to my naturopath. So, yeah.
That's smart. Well, let's wrap this up here. I'd love to hear like, looking back at you when you were in like October when we first reached out. Think about that person. What advice would you give that person now? Could be motivational, could be around content, could be around sales, but what's the one thing you tell that person?
You mean like just in terms of your program or just in general
Not
or
necessarily my program. I mean, if you could be like, hey, go join Dr. Matt's program. That's cool if you want to say that, but I'm not trying to set you up for
Oh,
that.
I've
More
told
so
so
just
many people. Like, I literally have people who reach out to me on Instagram. They're like, hey, I'm thinking of doing Dr. Matt's program. What did you think? And I'll literally respond in all caps. I'm like, do it with like 5 exclamation points.
I love that.
I'm like, it
Cool.
works. Just go
That's good
sign
to
up.
know. That's great. Sales
Yeah.
team. If anyone needs to talk to a client, tell them to talk to Kate Davis.
Like, go ask her. She'll tell you all about it.
That's great.
Oh yeah. I guess the thing I would tell them is, I was in a really bad spot. So, and I even told you guys this. So I was like, there's like, you had us fill out a questionnaire before we started, and it was like, what is your reason for wanting to make this goal this month? And I was like, I have no choice. I have no money, or something like that. I was like, I'm broke. Like, So I was just really like honest, but I think the best thing is just to know like if you have a good message and you have a good solution for people and you get great results, all you need is a good system. There's always a solution out there, and this is what I tell my patients who are come to me with health issues. I'm like, hey, look, because a lot of them just have no hope, and so I have to really just build that faith back in them. And I think it's just the same for coaches. Is like if you have a message, if you really truly help people, if you really truly care about people, you just need the right system and you will be successful. And I know that you like Dr. Matt has the best system like I've ever tried. And it's just so amazing. And you just kind of got to get over that fear of like being on camera on Instagram,
Yeah.
and being seeming weird. And a lot of it's just like our own self-worth. And you really just have to kind of build up your self-esteem because there's a lot of famous business guys out there have said, and I've heard this since I've been a business owner, your business will never outgrow your self-worth. And so if you don't work on yourself, you're never going to reach that level that you want to reach. And I noticed this in myself, like when I had my first big month in December, where I started to like shrink back because I had this ceiling on my life of like what I thought was acceptable amount of money to make. And so then I started doing a lot of self work and like self growth stuff and really just digging into like why I had that mentality. And then it just skyrocketed again. So it's super cool. But I like that you guys teach a lot about, it's a lot of this game, of just like really working on your mindset, not just your business. And I know you touch on that a lot in like sales calls and mastermind groups and things like that. So yeah, just know that there's always a solution, there's always hope, and you will be successful if you just put the work in and you find the right system.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, I'm a systems guy because like the best system is really honestly no system at all.
Yeah.
It's like how can we eliminate things and make it so simple? That's our mission is how can we simplify it,
Yeah.
even more.
It is simple. Like once you're full time doing this, you don't really spend a whole lot of time doing much. It's just it kind of just works itself. Like I have to get back to a ton of DMs on Instagram, but when I
Yeah.
first started, I had like two DMs. So now I'm like I have like hundreds of them, and I'm like, thank you God for all these people, even though it takes forever to respond to
That's a good
them.
problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. I spent like 3 hours the other day catching up on DMs because I was so busy with dealing with the mold situation and moving and finding a new place that I'd just gotten so behind. But then I just booked a bunch of connection calls and initial consults. And some people just want to buy the labs outright because they just ask me what test I use. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, here's the price for initial consult and labs. And they're like, okay, cool. Can you send me the link? And so now people just book
Oh, that's
that, which is
great.
pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've gotten a couple of those, which has been really cool. So it's just if you're getting the results and your program is good, you're gonna do really well with Dr. Math program. So yeah, and it's so simple. It's like stupid simple. Where I was just like, why couldn't I think of this?
Yeah,
So
we have to go through all the complexity first to figure out what how to simplify it, right? It's like there's
yeah,
a quote, I think it might be from Hemingway. I'm not sure who it's from, whatever. But it's like, if he writes in a letter, he's like, sorry for this long letter. If I had more time, I would have made it shorter. Right. But that's essentially what we do in content. It's like, how can we synthesize all this information? And the same thing for a curriculum and a program. It's like, we've collectively our team of the support coaches, we've had probably 50 years of experience in this space. So it's like, how can we simplify all the knowledge that we've acquired and make it simple? So it's like, wow, it's so simple. It's like, yeah, and it took so much time and knowledge and experience to make it that simple. You know what I mean? And then it's always like just continue to refresh it too to make it simpler. Make it simpler. Does this needed? If not, get rid of it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's super cool. So I'm really grateful to you and your team and this new life that I have, which is pretty amazing. So I'm excited to once I get more settled in business and hire on some more people to be able to actually travel and work from anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. We're excited to support that and see you continue doing that because there's still so much opportunity too. And like you said, like once you go to that next level, you're gonna have a little bit. You'll have to learn more skills,
Yeah.
and the self worth that's gonna have to come along with that. Those skill sets of being, the CEO and having a
Mhm.
team or more people supporting that supports your vision and
Yeah.
mission. So it's yeah, it's been really fun watching you grow over the past 6 months. 6 months? About 6 months, right?
It's been almost it's been 5 months. Yeah.
Five, almost, yeah.
Yeah.
5 months. And yeah, you've been a really good example for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Oh my God. I send this guy like so many messages like every month. I'm like, thank you again so much. Like all caps. I'm like, you guys are amazing.
I love
Yeah,
that. Well,
I'm just like
let's
I'm just so grateful, you know. It's sometimes I'm like driving like to the beach in the middle like the middle of the day on a Wednesday and I'll just start like tearing up because I'm just like, this is my life now. Like this is crazy. It's
oh,
just so cool. So I appreciate you guys.
well, we appreciate you. And I'm definitely going to send this to the team after we finish recording, and they're going to also, have their hearts just being like really warm and melting. So,
My friends always say I have that gift. They're like, why do you always make me cry? And I'm like, good, the tears are healing.
yeah, yeah, they're healing, and it inspires us to do more of this, So,
Yeah. Yeah. You
yeah.
guys are doing great work. So
Well, thank you. Thank you. We'll close this thing up. It's been a pleasure having you on here. I'm sure that the people here who are watching this are going to enjoy it too. What's the best way to reach out to you? If people want to learn more either about what you do or just about your experience working with us, how can they find you?
absolutely. You can find me on Instagram. It's just at Dr. Kate Davis. So it's just DrKate Davis, Davis. So pretty simple. Somehow that handle was not taken. I didn't need any underscores, any dots. I was like, oh, we're all the Kate Davises in the world. None of us became doctors, you know? But that was pretty awesome. So pretty easy to find me on Instagram. Otherwise, you can email me. It's just Kate at drkatedavis.com. So those are the two ways to reach me.
Perfect. Cool. Well, you guys heard it here. She has a lot of DMs. Let's send her some more DMs.
Yeah. Maybe flooded now. Dr. Matt said to contact you.
Oh.
Like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. All this.
Yeah, that's all you're, yeah, please. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Kate. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, we'll chat in school.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Dr. Matt.
All right. See y'all.